Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Steve Kilbey Show. We are handheld, on location, for another pre-show chat really quickly before the first of two shows here at the MIM. That's the Musical Instruments Museum in Phoenix, Arizona. There are two shows here. Both are sold out, which is excellent news. I've never been to this theater, though I have been in the museum, which I recommend. The museum is great. The theater is supposed to be wonderful, very good for acoustics. I hear they're strict with no phones out. Maybe I just ran into a guy who said at the last show he was here at recently, they allowed photos and videos for the first two songs only, and then they were pretty strict about shutting that down. So I'm kind of curious to see if that's the case here. It seems like a little bit more formal, though there's no dress code or anything like that. Not that formal, but I think the sound will be really good. I am interested to see how that affects the show. Is that something that the band feeds off of? Is that something that makes it a more muted performance because they don't like it as much? I don't really know, but I'm interested. It's supposed to be a beautiful theater. I hear it sounds great. I'm assuming it won't really affect the performance at all, but just kind of curious, things I'm thinking about going in. Tomorrow, I'm going to try to have some flyers and stuff printed from past shows in Phoenix, but quickly, I'm just going to give you a rundown of the history of the church in Phoenix or in Arizona in general, as I found out to believe. So their first show here was on April 23rd of 1986 in Tempe, Arizona at Graham Central Station. That's right, no relation to me, but Graham Central Station, which is now closed. That was for the Heyday, the very first leg of the Heyday tour, and that was their first stop here in Arizona ever. They were back the night after that at Nino's Steakhouse, also same tour, Heyday, the first leg here in Tempe. I've not been to Nino's Steakhouse, and honestly, I don't know that it's still open, but I'm going to check that out. And if any of this stuff is still open, which I know a few of them are, I'll try to get some videos if I can. Hopefully I can do that. Then they were back in '88 for the Starfish North American Tour at Studio West. Then they didn't come back until June 13th, 1994, again in the Phoenix area for the Sometime Anywhere USA acoustic tour. They played at a place called Anderson's. Then they were back here quite a long time after that, a little bit of a hiatus, a little bit of a Phoenix ban on concerts, it seems like, for the church. They weren't back until 2006, July 22nd, 2006, and maybe because it had been so long, they played the night after that, July 23rd, 2016. Yeah, two nights in a row in 2006. Kind of interesting. They did it in '86, they did that in '06, and now they're doing it again in '26. Kind of interesting to me. So yeah, they played back in 2006 for the Uninvited Like the Clouds tour. They played at the Marquee Theater, which is definitely still there, and the Rialto Theater down in Tucson. So two shows in Arizona, back to back, but not really in the same cities. Tucson's about an hour and a half south of the Phoenix area, for those that don't know. They didn't come back again for another 10 years. In 2016, July of 2016, they played in Flagstaff at the Pepsi Amphitheater. Seems to be the only time they played there. Played along with the Psychedelic Furs. Yeah, and then they were back the year after that, back in the Phoenix area in October of 2017. They played at the Press Room. That was just for a fall tour they did in 2017. They were back in Tucson in 2019 at 191 Tool for the Starfish 30th Anniversary Tour. They also came back up to Phoenix for that, 5/6/19. So that's May 6th, 2019. They were in Phoenix at the Crescent Ballroom, which I've been to. It's a really great little ballroom. It's not that little, but it's a great place to see a band like The Church. That was in 2019. They were back in 2022 at the Crescent Ballroom again. In 2023, they played at a place called the Wild Horse Pass. I actually just talked to a guy last night at the Belly Up Tavern show who was at that Wild Horse Pass Chandler, Arizona show back in 2023. That was for the Hypnagogue, an album that you all know I love. And then now we're back here 3 years after that Hypnagogue tour, doing two back-to-back sold-out dates at the MIM. I'm very excited. We'll be back after with a post-show. Hey everybody, welcome back to another post-show review of the Steve Kilbey Show here. The Church live in Phoenix, night number 1 of 2 at the MIM Museum here, which I'm right out in front of. MIM is the Musical Instrument Museum here in Phoenix. It's a good museum. I recommend checking it out. The theater was beautiful. Let's talk about that first. Really very nice, cozy. The seats were comfortable. The sound was great. Steve's vocals were mixed a little bit higher or better, I guess, tonight than at Belly Up or Fonda. which I like. I like a little bit of a good vocal mix. I think it kind of, the mix probably was completely based on this venue, not based on this venue, but you know what I mean. Like it just felt like it was mixed appropriately in this venue for its size and for the type of venue it was, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It sounded great. Everybody shined, I thought, at certain moments tonight. Nicholas, who I was talking about, always great during stuff like Ripple or Tantalized even. Same thing with, obviously, Tim, all back there on the percussions and all of the synth and all that stuff. Guitar guys fucking nailing it every night. Tantalized is a highlight. Sacred Echoes Part 2 is a highlight for me. I could listen to Block all day long, every day. I think Block is so good. It's like aggressive Kilbey, which I like. Aggressive sounding Kilbey. I like that. I like all shades of Steve Kilbey, but that Block sound is so good, and that was really fantastic, I thought, tonight. What else was good? Oh, and it was interesting because they, something slightly different, and it's hard, it's weird. The shows sort of blend together, seeing them back to back. But one thing I did notice is that during Western, which is a new song off the yet to be released new album, the way it ended tonight, it kind of, Ashley's guitar sort of was like tuning down and then started to, as Western was fading out, and then just kind of tuned right up into Consonant and Opal, which I thought was great. I really liked that. It was a nice transition, a little bit different than how they've been doing it the last few nights. I noticed that for sure, and I liked that quite a bit. I like that song Western off the new album. It's growing on me. The first time I heard it, I was like, this is good, but do I love it? I don't know. And there's a couple lines in there, and the way Steve sings, I went down to Abilene. I really like that. I'm not doing it justice, of course. So it was another really good show. I'll be back tomorrow night. It'll be my last night seeing them on this tour. It's been a really great tour. If you're watching these videos and you're on the fence about going to see them, I highly recommend this tour. It's excellent. It's got everything you kind of want from these guys. Here's my ticket for the show there at this museum, which I really liked. And then I just picked up just nothing big, but a few of these postcards that are from the Pandora Mod Z ipso facto character from the whole Hypnagogue era, which, as everybody here will know by now, I'm a big fan of. So the show was great. It's a little bit earlier because it's not quite 11 yet, and that's nice for a change. I'm going to get a little bit of sleep. Be back at it tomorrow night, back here at MIM, another night at the church, singles tour. See y'all later.